from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Hi,
I'm Beth.
I'm Tim.
I'm Jessica, and we're just your everyday
Methodist to the madness.
We are here commencing a podcast. If you have never listened to us before, welcome. We are super excited you're here. We're just, we're just tired. Like you're everyday American people here.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You know, we're just tired. We're just talking and we're tired. Tired talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're excited. So that helps with the tiredness because we get to talk to random people that we don't know how they're responding emotionally, mentally, or physically to what we say.
Right. They can send us an email, though, if they want to let us know how they're responding emotionally or physically or mentally or spiritually.
Someone's responded right now. Just kidding. That's not how podcasts work.
How are you guys doing? Tim, Beth, I'm sure you had an eventful week.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss this?
You want me to go first, Beth?
Yes.
Okay. So something crazy happened towards the end of last week. I was at work, and my job is hybrid. So some days I go into the office and some days I stay home. And so I happen to be at the office, and my mom sends me a message, and she calls my phone. And I guess I was either in a meeting or really busy with something. I got back to her like 45 minutes later, and she tells me that there's water all over the kitchen floor. And she thinks it has something to do with the washer. And so we suspect that the washer was flooding the kitchen floor.
Oh, no.
And I was gone. So, but I was concerned. But it seemed that once the washer was done washing, there was no more water. So it's like, okay, she went on errands. I stayed at my job and then finally went home. And we realized that it had something to do with an actual cycle going. So the next day we run the washer, and it seems like everything's all hunky dory, like got the clothes going, the water is going inside the washer, it's moving around with its motor and everything, like cool and everything. But then all of a sudden it starts flooding again. There's water all over the kitchen floor. It's crazy. And like, there's like detergent in there. So it's like soapy water all over the floor. But my mom is like, well, we need to clean the kitchen floor anyway, so it's okay. But anyway, getting to the nitty gritty of this, we find out that it has to do with the drain cable not being in the drain of the washer. And we didn't know this at first. We thought maybe the drain cable was like kinked or detached from the washer or something like that. But when we got the maintenance person in, it turns out that the cable was just legitimately not in the drain. Like, it was so simple. I wish that we understood that when we saw it. Because the maintenance guy was like, do you guys have a hanger? Because he got a hanger to grab the cable from behind the washer, and then he just inserted the cable into the drain. Like suddenly just a magical drain appeared out of nowhere, and he just inserted it into the drain. It was like majestic or something, because all of a sudden the washer was working, no problem, not flooding the kitchen floor anymore. It was a dream come true. So I'm back in business, being able to wash clothes again. Because for like 3 days, I couldn't wash any clothes. And I'm like, okay, how many clean clothes do I have? I'm going to have to plan this out. Wear this clean pair of clothes. This point, probably have to rewear something the next day, and so on. It was crazy. So, yeah. But I'm glad it's all fixed. It's all good now.
Glad you guys ended up getting the hang of things.
Yes. Yeah, we got a hanger to get the hang of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of washer and dryer, I didn't mention this on the podcast a while back, but at some point, my mom ended up buying a new dryer because the dryer we had before actually did not have a heater in it. So we would have to dry our clothes like 3 times in order to get them to be dry. So eventually she got a new dryer. And when we got the new dryer, it was such a quality of life improvement. Like, oh man, I could just put clothes in the washer and put them in the dryer. They're done in like an hour and a half. And I don't even have to think about it. So
that's amazing. I remember living in apartments and there was always like that one dryer that really knew how to dry the clothes. So everybody would try to use that one. And then there were like the other ones that weren't so good. And so you'd have to pay like more quarters. Oh my gosh, I remember that. And it was, so if you do have a washer and dryer in your unit in California, in the Los Angeles area or AV area, you are considered high class. I'll just
yeah.
So
the apartment I lived in before this one did not have a washer and dryer hookup. So I had to do exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And because I'm like the procrastinator of the century, I'd be like, oh, hey, I got like all these dirty clothes and it's the day before I have to go to college class. And it's like 8 o'clock at night. Let's go and wash the clothes right now. Bring the hamper all the way to the public laundromat in the apartment complex. God. It's so crazy. So yeah, you're right. We basically live like kings or queens in modernity. Like in today's world, it's phenomenal. I mean, kings and queens way back when, they had to use like washboards and stuff like that, and they had to like actually knit clothes by hand. Like we just don't do any of that stuff anymore, unless it's for leisure during our quilting and crocheting episode that we have every month.
Or if you are Amish and that is what your community does.
They have websites though. They're selling things on websites, Jessica.
That's amazing.
The internet is electricity. How are they doing this?
Yeah.
Generating
solar. Did they start generating solar energy through a butter churn?
I just imagine there's a guy on a bike at all times, like churning. It's funny. Like the crank in. Did you watch the Incredible Kimmy Schmidt, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
No.
The early season.
Yeah, like it was like the first season. There was like a crank that they would have to turn like every. Like for a minute at a time or something, or for longer than that. I don't remember.
Okay. I'll have to watch it back, but that sounds hilarious. That show was funny.
Yeah.
So leading into like not home improvement adventures in my update, I wanted to share that I've been continuing to read that book, The Power of Now, and practicing what it's like talking about. And the 2 points that I'd like to bring up are the following. So I've been experiencing really profound peace from trying to focus on the moment. Because like before I discovered this book, I was just like going from point A to point B to point C and so on, and not really feeling a sense of peace in between those like tasks. Like I would kind of feel at odds with myself or tense or something if I wasn't always doing something. But now it's like I just feel comfortable not doing anything in particular. And I've also noticed that since I'm focusing on the moment, it's given me greater focus when I actually do work on tasks. It's kind of like getting into that state of flow, like I talked about many episodes ago. Like it's become a lot more of an opportunity for me to be in those states of flow because I'm like focusing on the moment. And so the second thing I wanted to bring up is Eckhart Tolle talks about 2 types of time. He refers to time in terms of clock time and psychological time. And he wants he encourages the readers to not engage in psychological time and instead focus on the moment instead of that. And clock time is basically in regards to like planning and goal orientation and like what you need to do in order to operate in life. But outside of that, you really shouldn't be spending time thinking about anything, but just focusing on the moment. So like that really leads to an opportunity for flow, because it's like, okay, you're planning ahead kind of like, okay, and now you're engaged in the task. And so like, you're not going to be thinking about the past and the future because that's the goal, like not thinking about those things and then focusing on the moment. So that's just the best like way to like establish a sense of flow. So yeah, it's just been a really profound book for me. And I think I mentioned it last time, but yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in like learning to appreciate the moment more, or just learning more about like the way that like the mind works and thoughts and like how thinking has a regard for like our reality, like thinking about the past or the future and how you can kind of like be at peace with yourself. So yeah. And something else is I started reading my Kindle a bit more, or getting ready to read my Kindle a bit more, because my Kindle Paperwhite is interesting, where it decides to delete books that you add on there with the USB cable if you use the old format. So if you use the Mobi format, then it will delete your books every time you connect your Kindle Paperwhite to the Wi-Fi. But it will not delete your books if you use AZW3 format. And the reason why I bring this up is because I like to put public domain books on my Kindle, like Pride and Prejudice. And I got some DRM free books from like some book bundles that I bought way back when. And I can't put any of those books on there unless I put it on a supported format. So yeah, that's like a thing that you can do with Kindle Paperwhites and Kindle products. You can put public domain books and other books on there, not just the Amazon like ebook store. So now I'm like all like souped up, and I got all these books on there, and I don't have to worry about my books being deleted randomly when I I set my Kindle to Wi-Fi. So yeah,
well, that's a lot of good news, Tim.
Oh, thank you. So that's all I got. What do you have, Jessica or Beth? Whichever one of you wants to go first.
Can we save Beth for last? Because she's got the most, not that your news was not exciting, Tim, but Beth's got some pretty awesome news. And I feel like it deserves the last thought.
Oh, okay. I forgot earlier, before we started recording the episode, Beth was asking me why I have this Kirkland like rice bag in my room. And I wanted to briefly share that. So I bought this basmati rice, and like I asked somebody if it was white rice, and then they opened it up, one of the bags, and she had to use a knife to open the bag. I'm like, wait, this thing has a thread. You can pull the thread out and open the bag that way. So I got my own bag, purchased it, and brought it to my room because I don't know. I just like to have the rice bag in my room for some reason.
I help you sleep at night.
But I tried to open it thinking that I could open it like just by pulling the thread from the bag, and I could not open it that way. I legitimately had to get scissors, cutting thread to open the bag. And I felt like a barbarian or something trying to open the bag that way because the thread just would not cut with the scissors. So next time I buy one of those bags, I'm going to talk to somebody at Costco, say, hey, is there like some secret formula to opening this bag? Because this is crazy.
That's funny.
Okay, now I'm officially done with my update.
All right. Well, let's see. This past week has been pretty good. Super cool. I don't remember when it was that we bought tickets, but Palmdale Amphitheater has been doing like a buy 2 tickets for the price of one, or like 2 tickets for $20. And we bought tickets to see Elle King at the Palmdale Amphitheater this last Saturday. And it was so cool because I had never been there. And I know that that's where Grace Fest is going to be, which is where we're going to take the youth and the young adults, whoever is interested. And it was awesome. I mean, we got some food. The weather was beautiful. And Pastor Jim was there. And if anybody knows Cordelia and Art, they started coming. They were there. And then Megan from the Young Adult Life Group was there. And we hadn't seen her for a while. So it was really great to see her. And so we all sat together, and it was so cool just to like really enjoy the weather. Cause I know everybody's been like, it's been 1,000,000 degrees out, but we were wearing shorts and t-shirts. And after the sun went down, it was like, I took off my shoes and my feet were in the grass, and it was just so awesome. And the music was good. And the show was done by 9:15. And I was like, this is my kind of show. We are done. Let's go home. And so, but anyway, and her merch was pretty cool. I always try to support artists by purchasing merch because that's really where they get their money, which is why a lot of times it's a little bit more expensive. So, but we were excited to get some more shirts. And we're excited to go back to, Palmdale Amphitheater for Grace Fest. That's going to be a lot of fun to see Skillet. So among other artists as well, but yeah, so that was, it was pretty awesome. And then another thing was, Beth and Tim were very kind to, hold off on recording the podcast for one day because we finally got our fence and chicken run done last night.
Yes.
And so we put the chickens out there last night for the very first time. They had no idea what to do. We ended up having to wrangle all 17 of these things close to dark and put them in their new coop because they had no idea what to do. And so, anyways, they'll figure it out. They'll learn, but very excited to report that our chicken run is officially done. Well, the second one is officially done. It wasn't as windy last night. It was like only 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts, putting bird netting up, which you can only imagine what that might look like. But it was good. Guys, it feels so good for that to be done.
Wow. That is awesome, Jessica.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I guess
just imagine it. The chickens running around, having a good time, or not really having a good time because ultimately they're confused and they don't know where they're at.
Yeah. They were so used to
the time.
Yeah. They were so used to just being close together. So like wherever someone else would go, they would all like go in a pack together and they would just like go around the coop, like everywhere. And then today when I opened up the automatic door, they didn't want to come out because they were like, what is this door? Like, it was like, and then they have to walk down the little like steps or whatever. And they had no idea what was going on. And they immediately were like, going to the food, whatever. But they had, anyways, they have a learning curve ahead of them, but we're here for it. But anyways, that was my week. So I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
what? I'm totally missing out on something here.
Okay. So first, before I update you on what Jessica's alluding to, Jessica, I first wanted to tell you that last week you challenged me to watch the pilot episode of Abbott Elementary.
Yes, did you?
I did, and I watched all of the seasons, and then
what?
Yeah, it's so funny. And then a couple nights ago, I stopped an episode that I was watching, and it had like 4 minutes left. I must have like had to go take somebody somewhere. We were going to go somewhere. So right. I stopped it. There was 4 minutes left. And then like, when I came home on Sunday night from where I was on Saturday, I was like, I'll watch some more Abbott Elementary. So I watched the last 4 minutes of that episode. And then next thing I know, a different show is queuing up because I had finished the whole series. And I was like, no.
Oh my gosh. What a great and sad feeling all at the same time.
I know. But then I started a new show, which has a totally different vibe, Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Donald Glover. And I forget the actress's name, but that show's really good. And I'm almost
wow.
So
and that one's on Prime. I started watching that, and that's a show I like to watch in the background when I'm at work or when I'm working, because I have to have something going on. And that show, it's funny.
It is funny. It's really good. And then let's see. Oh, and Craig and I have been watching the newest season of The Bear. I don't know if any of you are watching that show.
Bear?
The Bear. Really, really good. I don't know how they decided it was a comedy, but some of the episodes are a little intense, and Craig and I could only watch 2 episodes before we were like, okay, we need to take a break. And that did Craig. I was like, this show is perfect for anybody to watch if they're wondering what anxiety feels like.
Yes. The 3rd season, I have seen it. I'm interested in your reaction once you get through with it. But yes, Amber had never seen any of that show, like the 1st or 2nd season, which are really good.
Yeah, it's so good.
And so I was like, starting the 3rd season thinking, oh, you should watch this. The first 2 were really good. And she literally was like, I can't sit here. I'm going to have a panic attack.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's just high intensity and,
so good, but it's so intense, and not even like action-packed intense. It's just like
fast-paced,
and there's a restaurant. They're trying to make everything perfect. They want to get that Michelin star. And
hands.
And a lot of I was telling Craig, I was like, since this is a comedy, let's count how many times we laugh during the show. And then like Carmi and Richie just got into an FU war, and I was like, never mind, let's count how many times they say FU to each other.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
So there is some language for the people out there. If you're not good with language, watch it.
For the kindergartners listening, ask your parents before watching.
Exactly.
Right.
And then last but not least, I was able to go see my favorite, Jason Mraz, in Temecula at the Pachinko Casino and Hotel.
Wow.
It was kind of bittersweet because I had one of my best friends, who I was best friends with for 8 years, just last year all of a sudden decided she didn't want to be friends with me anymore. And it turned out like the reason like was she saw like, I don't even want to get into the whole thing, but because she believed what she perceived on social media and didn't ask me about it, she was like, I guess Beth doesn't want to be friends anymore. And I just wish that I could have weighed in on that. And so it's been almost a year since I talked to her last. And the last thing I said to her was explaining like, my side of everything. And then all I got was a thumbs up on that message, and I've never heard from her again. But anyway, she was my adventure buddy. Like, I introduced her to Jason Mraz, and we've gone to like 2 or 3 Jason Mraz concerts together. And so I was so excited to be there, and the concert was so good. But I just like, there were so many things that I wanted to share with her about the concert.
Right.
However, my dear friend Miriam stepped up to the plate and went with me.
Oh, yes.
And she was a trooper. At her church, they were having like a clothing exchange where you could bring all of the clothing that you don't want anymore. And then you can look at the clothing that other people have brought and you can take whatever you want for free. And then whatever doesn't get taken, they donate it to places.
Mhm.
So she had that going on from like 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I had moseyed over there at about 1:30 and it was so hot out and they were packing up to go. I guess like there was like Miriam describes it as a tornado, said that a tornado happened in the front yard, or it was outside. It was outside, you guys, on the front lawn of the church across
like a dust devil.
Yeah, it was probably a dust devil, but I guess it knocked over like one of the metal racks that she had up and it fell on her arm. And so she got a giant bruise from that. And then that same arm, she had gotten stung by a wasp a few days earlier. So
no,
super swollen from that. And then when I was there, since there weren't a lot of people there, they were trying to pack everything up and it was so hot out. And I was like, they'll get this done faster if I help them. So I just started helping them. And then Miriam started to get dizzy. And I think like she was showing signs of heat stroke. So we took inside and got her water and electrolytes and everything. And then, so I was just feeling so guilty. I was like, I'm going to make this person go to a concert with me after she's almost died several times just in that very week. That's being pretty dramatic, but I just was like, I don't want to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I even tried to give her an out. I was like, hey, I'll just go to the concert by myself. You don't have to go. It's fine. I've gone to stuff by myself before and I'll do it again. And she was like, that's ridiculous. And so
what a trooper.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we get to the concert and like the opening, he tours with what he calls a super band. And it consists of the Molly Miller trio. Molly Miller is an amazing guitar player. If you haven't heard any of her stuff, she's amazing. And so it was her band. And then he tours with this band called Raining Jane, which is like, I think 4 different women who play instruments. And then, I don't know. And then just other people filling in the space, like trumpets and, drums and stuff. Anyway, so we were a little late and I was like, I need my Jason Mraz merch. So I showed Miriam to our seats so she could sit down. And I wasn't really that concerned about missing the opening act because I'm really there for Jason Mraz. But when I got back to my seat, they had just finished their last song, but Miriam was so impressed and she was like, that was amazing. Like she was really good.
Wow.
And after the concert, she told me that she was prepared to pretend to enjoy herself for my sake. But she said she didn't have to pretend.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So I've got another Jason Mraz convert and she asked me so many times, like, why is he so adorable? And I'm like, I don't know. That's just how God made him. I just love everything that he stands for. He got up and talked about how people always ask him, how do you stay so positive all the time? How do you always have all these nice messages of positivity? And he said, the truth is, I don't. But to get through the bad times, it helps to write songs and then write about the positive things.
Oh.
And then he was saying that like his job's really easy because he gets on stage and sings a song and then everybody applauds for him. And it's nice to keep going if people are like, yay. And he was like, but there's nobody applauding the teachers. There's nobody applauding the janitors. There's nobody applauding, the garbage men. He said sanitation specialist probably, but I can't, he didn't say garbage man. But anyway, so we applauded for all of them while we were there. So,
wow.
Amber, I clapped for her and for you, Jessica. You, Tim.
Thanks.
And I have this thing where I just like clapping. I don't know why. Like if other people are clapping, I just want to get in on it so fast. Like, oh, other people are clapping. Let's go. And I don't know why, but it's so much fun, I guess, to take part in what is considered joyful noise.
Yeah.
So let's give more people rounds of applause.
Yeah, for sure.
There should be a clapping committee that applaud, or maybe that doesn't sound right.
Maybe clapping committee.
An applause committee at the church where anytime someone walks into the church, they just start clapping.
That's the real welcomes we should be doing. Like,
you made it. Yes. Well, one can dream.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. Well, nice. I'm super excited that you were able to see Jason Mraz. It sounds like we all have had a very good week for the most part. And I'm excited about Wednesday because Beth will be cooking at Food for Thought
with Linda Sockerman.
What?
With Linda Sockerman.
By herself. And no, I'm just kidding.
Except for when I work with Linda Sockerman, which is all the time. Just kidding. That's a reference.
So for those interested in going to Food for Thought, Wednesday, 6-ish, and then Kids Club.
Kids Club this
Wednesday?
Or is that the last?
No, that's the last Wednesday.
It's the last Wednesday.
So in a couple weeks, you'll have Kids Club. But on Wednesday, Food for Thought, very exciting. You should join. Bells, which is directly after that, starting at 7. So if you feel like you should have been there at the Declaration of Independence and you should ring that bell, you have an opportunity to join the chancel bells at the church, and you can ring that bell as many times as you want and declare your independence to belling,
or as many times as it says to on the page of music.
Right.
As many times as your note appears. That is correct.
Yeah, I get 2 notes.
Yes,
that's all I can handle is 2 bells at one time.
Yeah. So very, very exciting. But that's ultimately the updates for this week for the church, because we had youth group this past Sunday, and it was fun because we played Uno with large cards. I don't know if anybody has ever played Uno, and the cards were
gigantic.
And imagine when you have to draw 4 and you already have 10 cards, and you're literally, you have your own set of blinds right in front of you. And so anyways, it was a lot of fun.
You're a spy and you need a disguise. And you don't have a newspaper.
Yeah. Who needs a newspaper?
Yeah, exactly. So that was a lot of fun. And we went through the story of David and Goliath and encouraged the youth that those that might underestimate them for being young, they can always conquer the giants and overcome and do great things. So it was a lot of fun. So leading next into Beth's ministry moment.
Ministry moment.
I don't know.
Moment.
Okay. So I checked our email when I encouraged everybody to write in about how they were feeling or whatever it was. I can't remember. That was so long.
It felt like 3 weeks ago, but it was actually 1 week ago.
It was only 30 minutes ago, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize how podcasts work.
Oh, I forgot.
Anyway, I found that we have an email from our, she says, used to be fan, Kathany Ankeny.
Oh, right.
So
used to be fan?
That's what she said. No, used to be favorite fan. No, she's still our fan. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. I was like,
we didn't kick you out of being we didn't kick you out of our fan club. So sorry.
No, she's a super fan forever.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So the subject is your long lost neglectful fan, Kathany Ankeny, and it's from August 5th. I guess that's not too bad. That's only like 8 days, but
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I forget to check the email. It doesn't tell me when I get an email on my phone, so I have to go, for some reason, I have to go manually look for it. But anyway, I'll tell you what our fan Kathany Ankeny has to say. Okay. Methodist to the Madness podcasters. I can't come up with an excuse for my absence. I only ask that you forgive me for being absent for so long and being a terrible friend of the podcast. Kathy, that's ridiculous. We love you.
Silly.
And we will love you forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then she says, I've recently caught up with probably 3 podcasts and thoroughly enjoyed them all. And am sorry for not saying so sooner. I tried to write down notes as I was listening, but I set the notes down and someone in this house misplaced them. Mind you, I now live alone in this 1,400 square foot house with my little kitty named Beth, so I'm blaming her. I think she's gaslighting me. and then she says, I'm sure you're all too young to know what that means, so I'll leave it to your Beth to explain, because even though I know she's as young as my second child, she's a relatable old soul, and she'll already know what I mean. If she needs any hints, hardly, look up Charles Boyer, Ingrid Bergen, Joseph Cotton, and Angela Lansbury in her film debut. I didn't know that. And the very scary movie, Gaslight. Kathy, I'm going to tell you right now that in this era of living, we're in a very
lit
where psychology terms are overused, like gaslighting and narcissist and boundaries, and they are often overused and misused sometimes. But
right.
Anyway, so the young people know what gaslighting is. My kids accuse me of gaslighting them like at least 3 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
But it's they're not using it correctly. So yeah, I think I haven't seen the movie though, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, now I'm really interested in seeing that movie.
Yeah. The movie Gaslit is with Julia Roberts, I believe.
I don't know who that is.
What?
You're gaslighting me.
What? No, maybe I've seen her in some film.
I don't think
somewhere,
Julia Roberts
somehow.
would have been born when this movie came out.
The Gaslight movie?
Gaslight.
Unless there was a remake.
There might have been a remake, but
I know there was a recent one that came out, and I'm confident that
this is a 1944 movie.
Oh, I'm seeing that there's that one.
Wait, is it black and white?
Oh, and I probably. And Kathy wrote Ingrid Bergen, and I was like, I thought it was Bergman, but in this Wikipedia it says Ingrid Bergman. So
yeah, there is a newer version that came out in 2022. It's called Gaslit, and it's with Julia Roberts.
Oh,
okay.
And it also has Sean Penn, I believe, plays as her husband, and it's pertaining to a modern take on the Watergate scandal.
Oh,
interesting.
Well, I'm sorry I accused you of gaslighting me.
No, because you guys were referencing the 1940s.
I know.
And I didn't know there was, so that's good to know. I'm glad I know now.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's where that originated. And I've heard a synopsis of it before, but I don't remember it enough to try to explain it to you all. So
that's totally fine.
The male character, I think, makes one of the female characters feel like she's going crazy because he's going to her. And anyway, so the rest says to the podcast highlights that I really appreciate it. Jessica, you are an amazing host and keep the show on track and stage manage the greatest punchlines. I always look forward to when you set up the wait, what? Tim moments. I was really caught off guard and laughed at the Wikipedia moment. I knew it was coming, but still fell apart when Tim said, wait, what? Classic. I don't remember that because if that was 3 podcasts, I don't remember it. Sorry, Kathy, but
it was at least 6 years ago.
I know
it was classic.
I think sometimes I do say that wait, what thing, and it probably has something to do with the fact that Pastor Jim had a sermon series, wait, what? Yeah. It just became part of my vocabulary after
that. She continues on to say, and I really appreciated and related to your discussion of listening to music while working at a paid job. As the opening to the original Star Wars movie went, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was working at a very mundane job in the billing department of a general and psychiatric hospital. It was so monotonous that I brought my little cassette player with headphones in and listened to music and discovered that my productivity increased. But one day, a hospital administrator did a walkthrough and declared that it was unacceptable. What a disappointment. He wouldn't accept anything but his interpretation of the setting, so I went back to being bored silly, typing bills all day. Isn't life interesting? It really is, Kathy.
Yes, indeed.
Very interesting.
And then she says to you, Tim, I was so impressed that you are enjoying Pride and Prejudice. Have you seen the movie about the Jane Austen book club from 2007? It's so good. I'm happy you enjoy the audiobooks, and her whole collection is free on Audible. They are my go-to lose yourself books. I can get lost in the thither I go moments of Austen.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think I have seen the 2007. I'm not sure if Kathy's referring to the kind of like the mini series where they're like really long episodes or something, but I never actually watched it during my own leisure. It was actually when I was in high school or something. We ended up watching the episodes. Well, but yeah, that's really encouraging. Very nice. Thank you, Kathy.
About the Jane Austen book club. So I don't know if it's about, it sounds like a movie about a book club.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, speaking of Pride and Prejudice, that was one of the books that I put on my Kindle. And I was pleased to notice that the one from Gutenberg actually has illustrations of some of the things that are being written about, which is really exciting. Like these really cute, like black and white illustrations.
That's nice. And then it's almost done, you guys. Sorry. And then she says, and Beth, your VBS decorations for this year's VBS were amazing. You put your whole soul into your children's ministry work. What a gift to PUMC you are. And I don't know if I should read this because it says between you and me, but I'm going to read it anyway. It says, and between you and me, you guys can close your ears if you want to. And between you and me, what an amazing cohort, Bible bud, retreat partner you are for me. What a lucky thing I wandered into PUMC in 2016 and was saved by you all. Thank you 3 for keeping the podcast alive and vibrant. I love the baby chicken and school teacher stories and the relatability you all bring to my journey. Thank you. Your used to be favorite fan, Kathany Ankeny.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Kathany. Really appreciate that.
Kathany, you're always going to be our favorite fan.
Yep.
Except for the Wuzu fan. I do really enjoy those. They sell them at Costco and they're amazing.
Wait, the Wuzu fan? Is that like a fan that you like blow? Oh, it's something you plug into the wall. Got it.
It's a literal fan that blows air on me.
Oh, wow.
Today's imaginary sponsor is from Wuzu.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
They're now at Costco for $37.99. You will have to scan your membership card right at the door now.
Right. Yeah, they have those special scanners now. Instead of just like showing it to someone, you actually have to like
there's
beep
people
it.
there.
Yep. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
There are people there too. Yeah.
Well, it's time.
Okay.
It's time.
Thanks for stopping by.
We have a good evening. We are at the last sermon of the 6-part series of the Gospel according to Dr. Seuss. And this past Sunday, Pastor Jim talked about how the Grinch stole Christmas in Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10, because that's what Luke talks about is the Grinch in that.
He does.
Indeed.
And
he does.
so it was a great comparison in how the Grinch was treated. And then there's the tax collectors and everybody, kind of like Cindy Lou Who being nice to the Grinch and Jesus being nice to, Zacchaeus kind of situation. And so It was great to see that comparison and put all of that together. And I'm curious what both of your takeaways were from this past sermon. Go ahead, Tim. Thanks for raising your hand.
Yeah, Beth has her dog available right now on the webcam. And I think that's Stormy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody just imagine Stormy being friendly to Beth at this moment.
And eating sugar snap peas.
Yum.
We're deciding to hate them now.
So I think it's so interesting how there's such a significant parallel between the Zacchaeus story in the Bible and the Grinch story. That's just really phenomenal. And now I'm really encouraged to go into that passage in Luke and like read that story for myself and really reflect upon it. But yeah, I just love this whole series that Pastor Jim has been doing with Dr. Seuss and relating it to the biblical stories and the parallels. And it's just wonderful. But getting into it, I think that's awesome how Pastor Jim talked about basically that Jesus transformed Zacchaeus' life to the point that he was willing to give up half of his possessions and then give 400% of recompense. I don't know if recompense is the right word, but for like, yes, word problems.
No.
No, but the defrauding. Yeah. So basically, like to the point that he would end up like poor after doing all of that. And I would not have picked up on that if Pastor Jim hadn't explained that. Maybe I just would have noticed like, oh, half your possessions, like you can still kind of live a worthwhile life. But considering all the people that the tax collector defrauded, that's just like a way in which you would just not really, like you would do such a wonderful thing for the world, but then it really is giving up everything. It kind of reminds me of how Jesus says to sell your possessions. And so that's kind of like a curious thing that we see that in this story with Zacchaeus. And earlier, Jesus was talking about selling your possessions and follow him. And what's really awesome about this is the idea that Jesus transforms our life to the point that we're willing to give up those things that like those bad habits or the things that we consider something we don't need in our lives anymore, but for some reason we can't give those things up. But Jesus changes everything. And so do either of you remember what the saying was? It was transformation requires action or something to that effect.
Transformation involves a response.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Which could be action. Action could be the response.
Absolutely. So
right.
The way you said it, Tim, works perfect.
Yep.
Thanks. And actually that makes me think about like passages from I don't think it's Romans. It's one of the it's James, I think. The book of James, he talks about how faith without works is dead. And so like really when you have transformation through faith in Jesus and like faith in the Gospels, you basically will just be driven to perform works that will transform your life and others' lives, and including loving your neighbor and loving God. So yeah, it's just really a wonderful depiction of like how that actually takes place. Like once you invite Jesus into your life, then you're just greatly encouraged to like make positive changes for yourself and your neighbor. I think that's a beautiful thing. So so yeah, that's what I got.
I like that. Beth?
So I watched it before I made dinner, but I didn't take any notes. And I usually at least take a screenshot or something if I'm not going to take notes. But I didn't even do that. But I feel like the takeaway for me about this whole thing was that Jesus still went to Zacchaeus and was like, invite me to your house now. And that stressed me out a little bit because like, I don't want to have impromptu guests ever, especially if it's Jesus. Actually, that's not true. If Jesus came to my house, he would see this mess, but he wouldn't judge me for it because he knows the content of my character. But it's like, it's like everybody else was saying to Jesus, really? That guy? You're gonna help that guy?
Yeah.
Like, yes, that guy, especially that guy. And it's interesting to me that like sometimes there's people who don't want to go to church because like they feel like their life is too much of a mess and everybody at church, like they're all perfect or something. But it's those people who actually need church the most. And
absolutely.
But and it also made me think about how I don't know if it's a saying, but it was one of the big themes in the show Shrinking. I like TV. I like to watch TV. I've named 17 TV shows just in this one episode. But
we're here for
it. It's a show about a therapist who's grieving his wife who died and navigating life after that, and basically the theme at the end was like what he learned from his wife, that in order to help yourself, you should help others, because when you help other people, it makes them feel good and it makes you feel good, and it makes those people also want to help others and follow Jesus, if that's
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
Always good to help others to help yourself.
I love it. Yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah, other than the parallels that I've been able to enjoy Pastor Jim sharing, there was one thing that he kind of left us with, which was, are we willing to invest our resources in the kingdom of God?
No.
And
just kidding.
Yeah, initially, no. No, not at all. No, but I think that's something like really interesting to kind of think about, and I think I just think about the things that God kind of blesses all of us with, and, how we can give to others. And, I was thinking of, immediately just how God blessed us with a home. Like I never imagined having a house in Southern California just because they're really expensive. And so I never imagined that. And so one of those things that I always knew, and Amber has always known, is that we want to fill our home, and like we want to have Bible studies here and like really just let this house be a safe haven for people and bring peace to people, and not make them feel as though they have to be something that they're not when they enter the home. Like it's just, this is your place, like relax, make yourself at home kind of situation. And so, so far, I feel like we've been able to really, have that. And it's been really amazing to be able to provide that. But, I think also just in terms of like remembering to have like a giving heart and selfless and, you know, especially in the terms of like, you know, Zacchaeus really just giving half of his stuff, all of that kind of, you know, we try to do that, but I always feel like there's probably more, you know, like, and it may not have to be physical things of giving. Maybe it's just time and attention. Those are things that you can give to people, and that can be a great resource for some individuals, is the attention and the time and the listening ear to really, you know, be that for somebody. So that was kind of like my quick takeaway. And I'm eager to find out what the next sermon series is going to be. I'm sure Beth.
Yeah.
I don't think I know. If Pastor Jim did tell us, I forgot. I wasn't listening. Just kidding. I did have one other thought about the sermon, though, about the sermon series. And I was thinking about how he kept calling Zacchaeus Zach. And I was like, what if there were two of them? And there was a story about that. And then he could have told that story last week when he read the Zachs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's the story of two Zacchaeuses or the Zachs. And I don't know. My brain makes weird connections.
No, that's a good brain connection, Beth.
So
I'm glad you shared that one.
Tell the story about the two Zacchaeuses, Pastor Jim. Go back in time, and I don't know. Just kidding. That seems like a lot of work, and I haven't been able to get my TARDIS up and running yet. So I'm working on it, though.
You haven't been able to get what up and running?
My TARDIS.
I don't know why, but as soon as you said TARDIS, I thought maybe you meant to say toaster or something.
I thought you were saying
this is where I say, wait, what? Just kidding. No, it's a Doctor Who reference. It's basically the time machine that the Doctor has. And they go into all different times.
So you mean it's not the Mandalorian?
No. I watched like 1.5 episodes of The Mandalorian, and so I'm very behind. Don't tell me what happens.
Wait, The Mandalorian, wasn't that part of Back to the Future?
Oh, I don't. Isn't The Mandalorian Star Wars with Baby Yoda?
Oh no! Oh
yeah!
My God.
Oh my gosh! I really, Pastor Jim, if you're listening, please turn this off now.
Oh well, I haven't seen Star Wars, so
rage. He's just like, Back to the Future.
Oh my God.
I have no idea what kind of brain connection I made just now in saying that.
I didn't know The Mandalorian was about time travel. I only watched 1.5 episodes.
Oh my God. I don't understand. But
wow.
Going back to sermon feedback for a moment. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight how Jesus accepts everybody, including like the people that are not acceptable at all by the community. So like the tax collectors who would defraud people. And so like whatever baggage that we have, we can like bring that to Jesus, and we can have rest in that. And we could also, like you were saying, Beth, we could come to church and be who we are, and like just love everyone. And yeah, it's like it really is like people talk about church family. That's what it is when you come to church. It's really like that extended family. Everybody is so welcoming and nice, and it's awesome. So that's what we have in Jesus. I guess kind of like going with what Pastor Jim has been saying on this sermon series a bit here, like we're inspired by Jesus to love, and that's what we have here at the church. And no matter who you are, and actually that reminds me of the that message from Pastor Jim. You are welcome here. It's really nice.
Yeah. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Love it. Love.
Let's head into prayer requests because God knows we need some prayers. So, Tim, we'll start with you. Looks like a prayer's already been answered. You got rice and clean floors. So
yeah, yeah, that's totally true. I think I could use a prayer for being more intentional with like the way that I understand my actions. So I'm kind of like with the whole like being in the present moment and having peace now. So that's awesome. But I think if I'm more like intentional with like whatever it is that I'm actually doing, and then I have like that appreciating the moment kind of attitude, then I think I'll be able to like cultivate the states of flow that I need to like do all the things, like whether it's doing better, like what is it, better actions at work, or maybe I'll be more motivated to work on chores, or like my like hobbies, like picking up my Kindle and reading more instead of other things. So yeah, a prayer for me to kind of have that intentionality going to where I do things that I enjoy more, and I'm more productive because I want to be, and
yeah,
something like that, you know?
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Thanks.
Miss Beth, prayer requesta.
What do you have for us, Beth?
Okay. So what I forgot to mention in the update section is that Owen started his first day of senior year yesterday.
Ooh.
Brand new school.
Brand new school?
Yep.
His choice though.
It was his choice. I can't
his body, his choice.
Yep. And if his body wants to go to that school, I guess it's fine. So
his body and mind.
I'm trying to let him make his own choices when I feel like it's relevant to do so. And
that's good.
We started this new school, and it's not in my 2-mile bubble anymore. So anyway, so I have to get up early. We left at 7:20. And I'm used to, well, Jonah's been going to school this whole time, but the earliest his classes ever started were 9. So his prayers that Owen starts school at 8:40. He was just really excited to get there early this morning for some reason. We're not morning people either, so that was startling to me. Last year I would wake up Owen at 7, then I'd come downstairs and nap on the couch until 8:00, and then I'd take him to school, take Jonah to school. And anyway, so just prayers that we can keep on schedule. And what happens sometimes when Owen's school is further away than Jonah's is Owen will be late or Owen will take time his own. It's a couple times when they were going to different schools, he would make Jonah late for school because Jonah's school was further away and Owen wasn't ready in time. So that I can keep both kids on a good schedule. And because it's one thing to be late, but it's another thing to be late when it's not even your fault.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely. If somebody else makes you late, then you feel like you were gaslighted or something.
Yep.
No, well, maybe not. I don't know.
Into believing that he would make it to school on time. So let's work on boundaries, shall we?
Yeah, I've been the cause of that many times in Amber's life.
Not in Amber's life. But other people's lives.
Yeah, me too. So I'm gonna try not to do that
Sorry,
to other people.
ADHDers. What's it like to be in charge of the time that you manage?
I don't know. Ask the ADHD. Wait, when are we supposed to be there? Oh, we got 45 minutes. Oh, that means go on YouTube for 20 minutes and think that we only have, well, we're only going to need 25 minutes to get ready. So
I can get ready in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I can shower in 5 minutes.
Every other time it's taken me longer.
I have time to mow the lawn.
It'll be different. I know.
Just get the lawnmower going and you can still make it to your appointment.
I would just like everybody to know that I hate that I'm like this. It's actually terribly inconvenient. It's like
it's so frustrating because then once you have the mindset of like you're going to do it, then you can't do anything else until you've done that task.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
And you're like basically sprinting through these tasks and you've like worked yourself up to think this has to be done or I will die kind of situation. It's kind of what your mind thinks.
It's like if I have to do the dishes, my brain automatically says, let's do a deep clean of my bedroom right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just going to like, I think I don't remember. I was just going to like do something real quick in the garage, but then that ended up with me deep cleaning the garage just on a whim on a Saturday.
Wow.
I'm sure Craig was like, this is great.
Again. Yeah. I wish we could get that back again, but.
Right. Yeah. See, that's the other thing. The ADHD kind of just does what it wants in regards to inspiration and what we decide to do one day or another day.
Follow the dopamine.
We're just here for the red.
Yep. And it's an inconvenience everyone else in our path.
Let's just inconvenience ourselves. We'll try not to inconvenience other people.
Right.
So anyway, who else? Tim?
Wait, totally. I'm not even sure what happened, how we started talking about that. So Jessica, I think we're waiting on your prayer request.
Oh,
we're not waiting actually, but we delayed it. We inconvenienced you.
No, it's okay. I honestly am not sure. So I think just continued prayers for Amber's, school stuff. Like she's in week 2 at this point, getting into a rhythm. And I think just continued prayers that, I could try to be as supportive as possible and, try to pick up the slack where things aren't getting done because she's officially in work mode now. So, I think that's my prayer request for this week.
That sounds good, Jessica.
We did it. Another episode.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah. Very fun.
Woo!
Woo! Well, with that being said,
on behalf of Stormy and myself, he popped up again. Stay mad. Methodist.
Different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness.